Hello everyone, realBluTV here, and a little bit of a recap. This time combining the qualifiers 3 and 4 as both of them happened over the weekend. 3 being on Saturday, and yesterday on Sunday we had 2 more teams qualify out of the 4th qualifier bracket. Tomorrow, Tuesday the 8th, we have another bracket, as well as Thursday on the 10th there will be the I think that's the 5th and the 6th qualifier. So more chances for you or anyone else to qualify into that main bracket for a chance to win $8,000, brought to you by Checkmate Gaming. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's hop into the bracket and see if we can see anything that really stood out to us in both the 3rd and the 4th qualifiers. All right, so in qualifier number 3, there wasn't too many exciting matchups in round 1, or excuse me, round 2, round 3. You know, the earlier rounds were pretty easy. A lot of buys for some teams. I know we saw some teams that we saw multiple times before get some wins and move into that next round. We saw PmP out there. We saw Roco girls, which I believe is the STK girls squad. We saw LFO moving up, FMG GG. We saw them a few times already as well with D2 Esports. Not making it too far into the bracket as of right now, but hopefully things can change for them moving forward, especially once more and more teams start to qualify and those top spots start to disintegrate from the usual teams we watch. So more and more teams will get some chances to move up. But PmP and RTND were the 2 teams that qualified out of this, and this is one of those stories where it could get very interesting depending on what PmP can bring to the table in the big tournament. The PmP, though, Zeal was taken. So Zeal, we got Korea 10, Spring Hour, La Hunter. This was a really interesting matchup to watch. Corrupt Kids Remix, Ace Denial on the other side for RTND. They played very, very well. Kids Remix, they were getting some nice picks. I believe Corrupt was on the fixer for them. He was getting some nice kills as well. If I'm not mistaken, he was picking some heads. But it's pretty tough when Korea 10 was in such a zone that day on his fixer, and he was just popping heads. Spring Hour also was starting to pull up. He was getting some big picks as well, especially on lockdown when he was on the Dahlia. He was in a 1v3 situation. He ended up dodge rolling and getting 3 kills back to back to back. So that was super entertaining to watch. La Hunter, still that solid rock that he has been for his team. And Zeal, of course, doing what Zeal does best, and that's playing champs that not a lot of people have brought to the table. You know, we saw him playing Dima, and now Dima's starting to creep up on some other teams here and there. But yes, in the qualifier finals, he played Scorch, I believe it was. Might have been semifinals. But anyway, nonetheless, he played Scorch, and he did it fairly well. I think he got a triple kill, maybe just a double, and he cleaned up another down while at it. But big plays on the Scorch, and Scorch not being one of the rogues that people find successful in the competitive region, even slightly at this point. No one really electing to go the MP7, especially if they use Ronin. They have that option, but they go with the KA30. So Zeal doing some big things with a rogue that nobody plays. So interesting to see that one. Other than that, you know what I'm saying, against RTND, that was a okay matchup. I think, you know what I'm saying, played very well. I think that they still are likely to qualify for the main bracket. They've had some tough matchups through the qualifiers so far. And another team that I want to note, Strikeout Boys, not making it past round 3, but that's a hard matchup. They had to go up against PmP. LFO losing to PmP as well. So PmP eliminating a lot of the teams that have been looking good early on in these brackets. So no longer PmP in the way. Some of these teams may move up, like Strikeout Boys, LFO, of course, and even EvadeUs. Not one of those teams on my radar in this tournament, but we'll talk about them heading into the 4th tournament because they did qualify. That's right. They qualified in bracket number 4 with FixTheFixer. That was a very interesting matchup and very entertaining. It went back and forth, actually. EvadeUs, Dez, Resourceful, Rubber Bands, Hoppies, they played great throughout the bracket. They were actually destroying teams so fast. If we go back here, they were already ready for the grand finals. They had already placed themselves in the grand finals and qualified, while FixTheFixer was still playing F4L and FixTheFixer beat them 2-0, and it was a 7-1 both those times. So when you only go 16 rounds in 2 games, yet EvadeUs is still making it to the grand finals first, that is quick. And they went up against LFO, again, one of those teams that we've been looking out for. So LFO making it a little bit further this time in the 4th bracket, of course. So look for them in the next one. I think they may be a top 2 team coming into that 5th bracket. If not, well, then I was just wrong. But FixTheFixer, Clo, Ozone, Sat, Geo Royals. This team apparently almost broke up. Instead, they just make one roster adjustment, being Geo Royals. I can't remember off the top of my head who they actually replaced, but Sat, Ozone, Clo were playing together in the last couple tournaments. This time bringing in Geo, and Geo on the Fixer making some huge plays. He even got a couple headshots through smoke without even using the thermal goggles, most notably on that High Castle game. So it was amazing to watch this. This actually went, I believe, 3 games. Also, Game 1 came down on High Castle. It was a 6-6, and EvadeUs was able to take that. Sat and FTF were able to take game number 2, and game number 3 was looking like a stomp at first. FTF was up 6-0 on lockdown, but then Resourceful, he started picking up the play as he was the one playing Ronin. He was getting some really good kills with the ballistic knife. He was getting some really good kills with that KA-30 and utilizing the rest of his kit with the grenades, the smokes as well. He was making some good plays, not only playing with the rest of his team, but if they needed someone to lurk, he was able to do that and get some picks in those 1v1 situations. They actually made a nice comeback. It's not easy being down 6-0 no matter who you are or in what circumstances, but they did bring back 4 straight rounds to make it a 6-4. They ended up losing off of I think one key mistake from their rotation in mid. Remember, we're on lockdown, so it's a pretty difficult map to rotate out of mid or out of A site, especially if there's a fixer there who can provide that intel to the rest of his team. But one or two little mistakes cost them from being able to come back fully from that 6-0. They did get it to 4, so props to them. I've been watching a couple CMG tournaments that have had Hoppies in it, and Dez as well. Resourceful, I've seen him play a few times before. Rubberband's not too familiar with him, but he played good. He kind of put himself on a radar for me at the level where I should be watching him on a consistent basis. So overall, great grand finals. It went 3. I enjoyed it very much, and congratulations to both teams, both FixTheFixer and EvadeUs. Looking forward to seeing what they can do in the main bracket coming up on the 19th and the 20th. Some other teams to look out for, since there are 4 more qualifiers. I mean, F4L, that is Moho, who also has Truancy, Holiday, and J-Grab. They picked up J-Gravity, dropping Elvin. And Elvin Calderon, I think he's still a good player. He'll be solid on any team he gets picked up by. He did play on a team in this bracket. Can't remember off the top of my head, but they didn't make it to semifinals, so maybe Elvin won't be on that team again, or maybe they'll stick together and try and work things out. But Truancy, the play from Truancy on this day, this bracket, was kind of lackluster. There was one moment where he fell off the map unintentionally, I think, trying to land from the plane in his glider. So he did respawn back on the map, but I think he just missed his mark, maybe missed the call out for the rotation, which side they were going to on the defensive side. That was on Skyfell, I believe. But hey, he respawned. He was able to get back in the fight, maybe 2 seconds late to that fight. But still, Truancy, not the same Truancy we've seen, especially when he was playing with Morningstar in some off CMG tournaments, or maybe in the last tournament that F4L were in, which was the qualifier number 2. I don't believe they played in qualifier number 3. Holiday, he swapped to some different roles. I think maybe that is what is happening with this squad and why they were able to lose so convincingly. They lost 7-1 in both games they played against FixTheFixer. J-Grav coming in for Elvin kind of moves. J-Grav's going to play those lurking You know, he's going to play the Ronin maybe. He was playing the Chalk. He'll maybe play the Lancer. So you're taking those away from Holiday. Holiday's now playing the Fixer, which they didn't play in the second qualifier when they had Elvin in their lineup. They didn't play Fixer as much. When they did, it was given to Elvin. I don't know if they didn't like Elvin on the Fixer. Also, when Elvin plays that Fixer, it takes away the Anvil in the Trench that he is so used to playing, and which was what he was playing for the team at the time. I mean, we've seen Moho play Anvil in the past with no comp. We've seen Truancy play maybe some Trench. I know he's used to playing Dahlia as well. So just some role swaps need to happen. They need to finalize who's playing what. Maybe Holiday just needs to get a little bit more into that lurker position, or maybe he just needs to focus up on the Fixer a little bit more and let J-Grav play those lurkers and those entry fraggers like why they brought him in. So who knows? But I've got some high hopes for Moho and the rest of that squad. Again, all four of them played pretty well in other tournaments and on other occasions. So if they can play as well as they have in the past together on one stage, then we could be seeing an F4L in the grand finals of qualifier number 5 and watching them punch their ticket to the main bracket. Some other teams to look out for in the next couple tournaments. LFO, of course. I think LFO will be one of those teams that could qualify. That's some players that came over from Gears of War, so I still think they've got a couple little tricks in their bags in the third person. You've got Magnus, Negligent, Chapo, and Detox. Chapo played really, really well yesterday in the fourth qualifier. He was getting some nasty kills, a couple doubles and triples off his shoulder swap spam and the way he crouch spams when he shoots. He does all of this at once, and that is the Gears of War player inside of him. But Chapo, I think, he can make it pretty far into this tournament with the rest of his team. Detox on that sniper, I believe. I think he didn't play as well as he did in qualifier number 3, but in the fourth one, they were able to make it a little bit further off the play of Chapo, Neg, and Magnus, who were able to step up their play from the tournament before as well. Sagang, another one of those teams. And Area Code, actually. Area Code, one of those teams that actually surprised me. I've never seen them before, so I'll be interested to see how they adjust after this being their first tournament, I believe. So will they come into qualifier number 5? And they actually gave LFO a run for their money. It was a really good match to watch, so I'm interested to see how Area Code can adjust. Sagang, another one of those teams that we've seen a few times here and there. They've gotten some good plays, and they've made it pretty far into the quarterfinals. I think 2 out of the 3 times. They might have made semifinals, can't remember off the top of my head. So Sagang, one of those teams to look out for. Area Code, one of those teams to look out for. LFO, F4L, and then 2 sleeper teams that I have off the top of my brain right now is Boogeymen and Forsaken 8K. I don't know if it's Forsaken 8K is their name or maybe just Forsaken, but Forsaken's one of those teams that has some of those players that have been around the scene for a little bit now, and you know, they're finally starting to get some chemistry. They're making it further into the bracket each time, and if you even look at the bracket, they've lost to, every time they lose, I think they've played in 2 brackets, maybe 3. Every time they lose, they've lost to a team that's made it to grand final. So if they can just clean up some early mistakes, maybe find a way to grab a couple more rounds on offense or defense, whichever one they're lacking in, as I haven't seen them play, then maybe they'll be able to make it to the grand finals themselves. And then we have Boogeymen. Boogeymen is actually a team full of some players that came from Paladins, and they've played on controllers. Most of them have gone to world championships before in that game, so they have that mechanical skill there with the controllers. Now we're just looking for them to gain some more game knowledge. I think most of them have been pretty preoccupied with the Paladins World Championship that just wrapped up at the end of last week. So now they'll have a full dedication towards Rogue Company, hopefully, and we might get to see some good things from them. So again, next teams to look for into the next bracket, we have F4L, LFO, Sagang, Area Code, Forsaken, and Boogeymen, of course. Those are the top 6 teams, I think, coming into the next couple qualifiers. Of course, there are 4 more qualifiers, so all 6 of those teams do have a chance to qualify, and that would leave 2 more in the 8th qualifier to pop up and kind of surprise me. So hopefully we'll see who is able to surprise me, who is able to get into that main bracket. Remember, $8,000 on the line. And don't forget to keep grinding. Let me know in the comments below who you guys think will qualify in the next tournament, and if any of those teams are good enough to go into the qualifiers, or if there's another team that I didn't mention that you think will make it into the qualifiers or into the main bracket, excuse me. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And make sure you follow CMG Rogue on Twitter at CMG_Rogue. And make sure you follow me on Twitter as well at realBluTV with no E in blue. Have a great day and a great week, everyone. Set a goal and go crush it.